What's up guys, YST here and welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. And today we are live on the test server. Thank you so much to Raid for allowing us to have access to this. And we're going to be showcasing 10 new champions coming to Teleria very soon. And I believe that they should be popping up in your champion index at the same time as the Hoskarul fusion that should also be starting live today when you're watching this video. As I'm recording this the night before, so I don't want to get a little bit confused here. But we will be breaking down the champion kits, having a little talk about their aesthetics because we love the art in this game. And if you do want to see showcases on all of these champions, be sure to hit a like and subscribe button so you don't miss those uploads. And also in the comment section below, let me know which of the bunch is your favorite. And I'll kind of judge which ones that I prioritize to showcase based on your comments below. But alright, let's get straight into it. We're going to start off here in the Shadowkin. Unfortunately, there's no new Sylvan Watchers, which I was kind of expecting. But it is what it is. So the first one, I'm going to go into the epic one in... Oh my gosh, I'm going to get bashed for names again. Syren? Syren. I'm going to stick with that. Suiren. I'll probably guess that'll be one of the two. But aesthetic-wise, you guys know that I love the mask. And welcome to the Mask Club, because you look absolutely amazing. Like, look at that right there. That is 10 out of 10 for me. Now, Plarium, if you got a spare mask lying around the office, you've got my address, send this to me and I'll be more than happy to rock this in every single video alongside the Genzin one. But what does she do? Is she amazing? Is she a great addition to the game? So, with the Lotus Kiss, attacks one enemy 2 times, are really good for Warmaster procs. And each hit has a 40% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns. And that is bookable up to a 50% chance. So per hit. That's actually really impactful, guys, for Demon Lord Clan Boss. Like, considering the amount of times this is going to pop off, potentially in some unkillable teams, that's really strong. On the downside, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 60% chance of placing a 25% weakened debuff for 2 turns. So we've got a double hitter with another double chance to apply that weakened debuff. And I'm actually a fan of the each hit mechanic because although it's not a 100% chance here, as you see it's a 70%, this makes it really nice for affinity because let's just say you get that weak hit against the spirit affinity. On that second hit you might actually proc that weakened debuff, furthering your damage. So I'm actually okay with this being at a lower chance, but each hit being able to proc this. On the Confusion Reigns, attacks all enemies and has a 60% chance, going up to a 70% chance once again of placing a drop defense debuff for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Damn! Guys, this is a whopper of an epic champion for Demon Lord, I tell you that much. And actually, this is the first ever AoE decreased defense champion that's not a legendary. We've had Mishinaki, we've had Genzin, and now we've got an epic to throw into the faction wars that applies drop defense, and I think that is amazing. So, a great addition to the Shadowkin, and I'm really looking forward to trying this out in the Demon Lord Clan Boss. And we have an accuracy in dungeons by 60, which I could actually see, because you've got 2 crucial debuffs, and then you've got the poison to maybe take down the dragon in some progression scenes. I love it. Aesthetic-wise, kit-wise, I am a huge fan of that champion. Next up, we have got Harima, or Harima. Once again, aesthetic-wise, let me see your mask. We have to judge every Shadowkin. It's pretty sweet, but I wouldn't put it up there in my top 5 by any means. But I love it. Like, in terms of the full aesthetics, looks really cool. A debasement attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance with an extra bookable chance to place a 50% decrease attack debuff for 2 turns. Also has a 25% chance of playing a 50% decrease attack debuff on all other enemies for 2 turns if this attack is critical. So maybe a bit of a play on a Padma, the epic champion, but I believe that hers is, if you crit, you get the decrease attack anyway. So it's okay, like having that extra chance to be able to place that AoE decreased attack is actually pretty solid. On the Purgative Punishment, attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit decreases the target's defense by 5% and stacks up to 30%. Each hit also increases this champion's defense by 5% and stacks up to 100%. Instantly activates the Celestial Ore skill if this skill kills an enemy. Damn, and she's actually a defensive-based champion. That's actually pretty sweet, guys. Because if each hit decreases this target's the target's defense by 5%, and it stacks up to 30%, and you'll take it into those longer battles, there may be some potential to really deal some crazy damage here. And being able to stack the defense up to 100%, that's crazy. From first glance, I actually think this is pretty solid, especially that it's hitting 3 times, but I'll try that out through the week. And then with the Celestial Ore, can attack all enemies and place a provoke debuff for 1 turn. This debuff cannot be blocked or resisted if the target champion is from the Demon Spawn faction. Now, I don't know why they threw that Demon Spawn thing in there, but it could be really good to maybe counter a Duchess in Arena if you want to provoke one and she's going fast enough, because it will be non-resistible, meaning you do not need accuracy to place that provoke and allow your other champions to come through and put in the work. Yeah, it's pretty decent, but you're going to need accuracy to use this on other factions or bosses, such as the Head of Decay. Enemy ignore defense effects are decreased by 50%. Damn. Is that just on herself or all allies? And champions from the Demon Spawn faction cannot inflict critical hits on this champion, and this champion cannot land weak hits on champions from the Demon Spawn, meaning that even though she's Force Affinity, she'll be able to still hit a Duchess and not get a weak hit, which is actually pretty cool. But damn, this bit's really strong. If this is on all allies having enemy ignore defense effects decreased by 50%, that's actually a pretty game-changing passive in my personal opinion. Because if you can start to mitigate those ignore defenses from many champions in this game, like a Mountain King or something like that, that's really impactful. And we've then got a resist in arena battles by 80. Damn, that's really high as well. I think overall she stands out as potentially a PvP champion, and a 1.5k base defense is actually really impressive. So yeah, really looking forward to trying that out in the arena. We've got no dwarfs on the list. Knight's Revenant is just a dupe because I keep my Skull Crown. But champion number 3 will be Noct the Paralyzer. And damn, look at that weapon there. I would not want to face him in arena. He will take my head off. Well, it looks really cool. And guys, I think I mentioned this earlier. This is my first time reading the kits as well, because I want to get excited when I'm reading them. So you guys can see me get excited, I guess. But HP-based champion, let's start off with the A1. Attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a 50% decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns. So decreased accuracy A1, really strong for those resist teams in the Iron Twins Fortress, facing places like Bommel, and just situations where you want to decrease that accuracy so you can have less resistance on your champions. Something like this is really strong on the A1, very similar to like a Tagoar Rhymehide. On the Dreamer's Demise, an AoE with a 100% chance of placing a sleep once booked, and 2 5% poison debuffs for 2 turns in the same ability. That's really interesting. Now, we've got stuff like Gaius the Gleeful that places bomb debuffs, but I can't recall anyone that does an AoE sleep very similar to a Kaima alongside a poison. So maybe if you're using... Yeah, let's get into the rest of this. So it places 2 additional 5% poison debuffs for 2 turns whenever the sleep debuff is placed by this skill is removed or expires after the enemy takes damage. Okay, that's actually... I'm thinking of like Poison Explosion comms potentially. Like, well then again, you have to kind of wait for it to expire unless you kind of proc it by somebody else. But removed, so a cleanse, you're able to just kind of replace it with a poison. It's very interesting, I'd say. We'll then place an ally protection buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns, and places a 15% continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. And with the Somnolence passive, can heal this champion by 3% of their max HP, and all allies except this champion by 1% of this champion's max HP every time a poison debuff ticks on an enemy. Oh damn. That's really strong as well, guys. Is this a new solo candidate for the dungeons? Like Dragon and stuff? Very similar to how, like, what's that champion that just got nerfed? That Ornn from the Fusion. Because healing this champion by 3% of their max HP, every single time a poison debuff ticks on an enemy. So is that per poison? Because if that's per poison and you're kind of maxing up that bar, and every single time that one expires from the sleep, you're able to, because you're getting the crowd control, because you're not going to be getting hits, right? Because he's placing the sleep with the poison. When they wake up, puts up more poisons, and then he's healing at the same time. And whenever an ally attacked under an ally protection buff, has a 40% chance of placing a sleep debuff on the attacker for 1 turn. I'm actually a big fan of this, and I think it's got a lot of potential in this game. With a HP in dungeons by 35%, kind of making me think further to this is going to be a very strong dungeon champion. Anybody else in the Dark Elves? I do not think so. Next up will be in the... Is it the Undead Hordes? Let's see. So nobody in Undead Hordes, but let's go into the Orcs. I kept all the red dots so I don't get messed up here. So we've got Tagoar, and what a beast of a champion this guy is. My gosh. Can you imagine him and Seatalk having it out in a 1v1? Let me know who you think would win. But alright, the magic stick. Okay, let's see what's so magical about your stick, buddy. I don't see anything that's spectacular about your stick. But places a 60% increased defense buff for 2 turns on the ally with the lowest current HP. And that's a 2-time hitter. And then places a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns, then heals all allies by 15% of this champion's max HP on a 3-turn cooldown. Now, increased speed is really strong on a 3-turn, at 30% as well. I'm a big fan of this. Adding to heals, increased speed, one of the most valuable buffs in this game, with charge count. Rise and Flight revives all dead allies with 30% HP and places a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns, equal to 20% of this champion's max HP. What a revivability for the Orc faction. And if you guys are struggling with the faction wars, this is an epic champion that will change your accounts. And just in general, that's very strong, guys. Very, very strong. For an epic to revive all dead allies with HP and a shield, based on this champion's max HP, damn, that's very strong. Very, very strong. With the increased speed as well. And decreases the damage received by allies by 50% HP, with 50% HP or less by 10%. So if they're mitigated, let's just say that they're under the 50% and then people are still attacking them, they've got some damage mitigation by 10% to allow them to get back into the fight. So yeah, I'm kind of big on that champion there. I think he's pretty sweet for an epic. Next up here in the Skinwalkers, try and tell me that this guy is not King Kong. We have got King Kong in Raid Shadow Legends, guys. Who would have thought? But it's here. I didn't know that I needed it, but now that I've seen it, I definitely needed it. So, Samson the Masher. Apart from the aesthetics where he's got literally, he's got gorillas in his fist. So if he punches you, I guarantee that his animations is going to have some sort of gorillas popping out. But let's see what you do, buddy. HP-based legendary champion. So, Vanity Fist attacks one enemy 2 times, and each hit has a 35% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. Now, I've mentioned many times on Chosen's channel and my channel of my kind of speculations for the future of Raid in terms of stun being a main mechanic to take down specific bosses, such as maybe a future Hydra head. But that is just all speculation at the moment. But there is a bunch of champions in this game like Hoskarul, the new epic. We've got Rorik, and now we've got this dude placing stuns on the A1 skill. Very, very strong, I'd say, for CC in general. Explosive Temper has an AoE that can remove all increased defense bars from enemies before attacking, then places an extra hit if this attack kills an enemy on a 3-turn cooldown. And I really hope that this has good damage multipliers. But maybe a full-out cleanse or a full-out strip would have been better. I'd have loved this to read of removes all increased defense buffs, replaces it with drop defense before attacking, then places an extra hit if this attack kills an enemy. And I feel like that would have been very worthy of a legendary skill set, right? But let's not bash it too much at the moment. So we have a 50% increased accuracy for 3 turns, and also a 30% increased crit damage, which is okay, I guess. I would have loved crit rate. For 3 turns, then grants an extra turn. So very kind of like a play on Gembo the Dishonored, I guess. So increased crit damage, increased accuracy, meaning that you don't need as much accuracy to remove the increased defense. And you got the increased crit damage to add to the damage stats. and decreases the damage this champion receives from critical hits by 20% and counterattacks the attacker when hit with a critical hit. That's pretty substantial, knowing that if he's counterattacking, he actually has a stun debuff on the A1, and if you've got increased accuracy up, you'll be able to counter those high resistance champions, meaning that you can lock them out. And has a 50% chance of counterattacking the attacker when hit with a strong, normal, or weak hit. So he actually gets a stronger chance to counterattack when he's not critted, which is pretty weird. But yeah, okay, I think he's a pretty decent champion. From first glance, I don't think he's like blowing me out the park, but the passive is definitely very funky, and I can imagine that working in some scenarios. With a defensive in all battles by 30%. Any more skinwalkers here? It doesn't look like it. Alright, let's head into the Ogrin tribes, and I actually seen some teasers of this guy like a few weeks ago. Just like some picture images. But here he is. We got the big earlobe Ogrin tribe. Let me see your weapon. You see, it doesn't look intimidating, right? But I guarantee if he came to your front door like boom, 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 open up, and he's like, give me all your sacred shards. You're going to give him your sacred shards, right? Like, otherwise, he'll just whip this around from the back and he'll take you out. But apart from his hunchback, how good is your kit here? So Hand Fangs, like I was talking about those deadly weapons, attacks one enemy 3 times and heals this champion by 15% of the damage inflicted. Now, a heal mechanic alongside an A1 is actually very strong in my opinion, and very strong for a Giant Slayer procs, right? But a self-revive or self-heal, I really like that. Is that per hit? So it's just from the damage inflicted. It's a bit weird there. If it's per hit, I think that's pretty nice. But Frightful Frenzy can attack all enemies and has a 100% chance of applying a leech debuff, which can allow you to heal by 18% of the damage inflicted on your targets, and it can seal off War Master Masteries, making this a very impactful debuff, and a heal reduction debuff for 2 turns. So where would I use this? Potentially Doom Tower progression or Leech for maybe the Hydra boss. But heal reduction very stands out in Nether Spider and Fire Knight. But there's no turn meter manipulation as of yet. And here it is with Snatch into Darkness. 100% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 100% on a 4-turn cooldown. Now, on a 4-turn cooldown, I wouldn't recommend this to be your only turn meter champion. But let's just say hypothetically, you've got a Vizix the Unbowed and you don't have a luxury of having a lore, for instance. It could be a nice champion to throw into the mix, considering he's got a 3-time hitter to crack the shield. We do have a 100% turn meter depletion. And then we've got Leech and heal reduction, which is very valuable for Fire Knight. So where would I use him? Probably just the faction wars as an endgame player. But I can see some sort of progression stuff with Lorn the Cutter. Alright, next up, let's head into the barbarians, and it's going to be none other than Hoskarul. I did do a full-out video breaking down my first thoughts on this champion, and we will be doing a showcase on him in the near future. But just to simply break it down again, we've got stuns here, we've got AoE stuns and turn meter manipulation, we've got removing stuns with an increased defense and resistance, and he's immune to stun and increases damage inflicted to targets under stun by 15%. So pretty nice champion for Epic, and if you are going for the 10x/2x event this weekend alongside the Hoskarul fusion, it could be a nice champion to pick up on your accounts, right? Alright, so no more barbarians, but we have got a Sacred Order, and this one I actually did build up and I did playtest, and it's Corvis the Corruptor, and he looks absolutely outstanding. Now let me tell you this, guys, this champion is amazing, right? And I can say that from playtesting him for the past 45 minutes to an hour. Probably one of the ones I'm most excited for in this game. And basically what it comes down to is reductive process. Attacks one enemy, has a 50-60% chance of applying a decreased attack on the A1 skill. Very, very strong for Demon Lord Clan Boss as your decreased attack champion. But this is where it gets spicy. Let's get all the spices into your Christmas meals. Medical Miracle. Attacks all enemies 2 times. The first hit increases the duration of all enemy debuffs by 1 turn. But wait for this, guys. Second hit increases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. Let's talk about Godseeker Aneri, Sandash Survivor, and Anchorite, Krisk, the champions that extend the value of your buffs. This is going to help you enable so many clan boss teams as a legendary champion. Maybe a straight out swap for somebody like a Sandlash Survivor because of the rest of his kit, which I'm going to talk about. But increasing the duration of all enemy debuffs to coincide with this, very, very strong, guys. Very, very strong. Field Research attacks all enemies 2 times. Each hit has a 100% chance of placing 2 5% poison debuffs for 2 turns. When attacking, places a 25% poison sensitivity debuff on all enemies for 2 or more poison debuffs. It's crazy, guys. For 1 skill set on a 4-turn cooldown. Now, I know you guys are probably thinking, why is it on a 4-turn? This is very hard to tune. The matter of the fact is, it actually isn't, because you're placing the 2 5% poisons, right? Then after attacking, he's placing the poison sensitivity, if those poisons place. And then he's extending the value of them with the medical miracle, meaning that he's going to have the uptime to kind of make up for that 1 turn extra there that you've got on the cooldown. So this will be very consistent. But another place that I think is going to be so strong is poison explosion teams, right? Let's talk about taking Dark Kale out of the equation for specific teams. Although he's an amazing champion, right? But putting this dude, he's applying poison sensitivity, poisons. He's extending the values. And then he's got decreased attack A1. And it's very strong, having that poison sensitivity in the same skill set. So it just kind of broadens the spectrum as another poison explosion champion to throw into the mix. To kind of explode with like an Elenaru or a Zarya. But Curious Draught decreases the damage enemies under poison debuffs inflict by 5% less damage per poison debuff and stacks up to 25%. So if you've got 5 poison debuffs up, you then take 25% less damage, which is very strong against Dragon, guys. So if you find yourself in a rhythm of, you can get to the Dragon boss on stage 25, but you're finding that your champions are getting hit like to the ground, he's actually going to have some damage mitigation to keep your champions topped up, which I think is pretty cool. With defense in all battles by 30%, and he's a defense champion. So do I think this guy's a waste of space? No. Do I think he's a good addition to the game? Hell yes, I like this guy. Epics, no more here. But yeah, just to kind of compare it. So you see here, decreases the duration of all allied buffs and increases the duration. But the thing that he's doing is, he's extending the values of your debuffs as well. So your decrease attacks, your drop defense, your weakens, your poisons, your HP burn. He's keeping that up. So in the clan boss, it's going to be very, very impactful. Alright, so we got 2 more champions on the list. I know there's 1 red dot missing, but that's okay. We can discuss that in a second. And it's going to be Skiramis. Once again, look at those aesthetics. If you tell me what does a high elf look like, this guy looks like a goddess. Look at him. Or a god. Not a goddess. He's not a chick. But let's get into the kit. Outpace. Attacks 1 enemy. 100% chance once booked of stealing 15% of the target's turn meter. Has a 20% chance of placing a stun debuff if the target's turn meter is fully depleted by this skill. How can you fully deplete a target's turn meter with 15%? Unless they're like borderline at the very bottom. Maybe some faction war stuff, but you probably won't see that stun consistently. But still, an A1 turn meter reduction. Very, very strong. I must say so myself. Effortless superiority. Get my tongue in a twist over this long video. Sorry that it took so long, guys. Just having fun reading these kits out. AoE decreases the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn and has a, 75% chance of placing a 50% decreased attack for 2 turns. Will then fill this turn meter by 10% for each buff that has its duration decreased on an AoE skill set. Pretty nice A2. I don't think it's too bad. AoE decreased attack, decreasing durations, potential turn meter fills. I can see some utility there. Has a, on A3, hold a front, has a 100% chance once booked. He loves to read though, look at that, god damn. Of placing a provoked debuff on all enemies for 1 turn, and places a counter-attack in a 15% continuous heal buff on this champion for 2 turns. Damn, this is like a Nari the Lucky effect on his A3. And that's very impactful for an epic champion, guys. Now, will he be your main provoker for Head of Decay? No. Right? But the good thing is, he's just placing this, meaning that you cannot get a weak hit, which makes this viable for all affinities. I'm a big fan of this. I'm a huge fan of this. And also it opens up the Mischief tank opportunity with the extra 2 buffs. And if you build it with high resistance, as you see here, 30 base resistance, he can actually turn out to be a whopper Hydra champion. And if you bring in like 2 champions with provokes, maybe like your Husk on the A1, or a Vizix the Unbowed, a Nari the Lucky, or these kind of champions, they can kind of alternate between their skills, go faster than the Hydra boss themselves, and keep Head of Decay under control, knowing that this will go up 100% of the time, because it just places. Very, very strong, guys. For an epic champion, I am a huge fan. I love it. Even in Arena, if you just want to place Provoke as a setup champion, being able to just place it up, as long as you got the right accuracy, allows your other champions to come through, do the rest of their skill sets, knowing that Skiramis is going to be the only target in that Arena battle. Aura HP in all battles by 25%. I love that. Of course, all battles is my favorite in this game because it's universal. Alright, final champion on the list is our Bannerlords, and we saved him to the last because he just reminds me of Scrapper, the rare champion. But this time he's visited the wardrobe and he's finally got some clothes and he's put away that 6-pack, making me look bad. Because I've been eating too many cakes this week. But Eolfrig, he looks pretty sweet for a Bannerlord. He's like that classic, right? He's got nothing insane going about him. He's not really shiny. He's nothing like a Baron. But he's like, I am what I am. Deal with it, right? If you got a problem, I'll knock you out like Mike Tyson. Alright, what do you do, buddy? A base attacks one enemy, has a 20% chance of placing a 50% decreased attack debuff for 2 turns on a 40% chance once booked. Quite viable for an epic champion. I would have loved to see 50% for Demon Lord, but 40% is okay, I guess. Our Flow of Morale attacks all enemies with a 100% chance of stealing 1 random buff from each enemy. Also places a continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns. So you're adding support to your allies, you're seeing potential buffs, could make for a good candidate in Doom Tower battles and early game normal Hydra boss, stealing some of the buffs that Head of Mischief takes from you. But I would love to see maybe a lot of buffs in there, but what can I ask for an epic champion? Actually, no, I will ask for that. Ugo's an epic champion. Committed Defensive fills the turn meters of all allies by 15%, then places a 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. That's a strong ability, guys, for an epic champion. Now, if you don't have the luxury of having a Arbiter, this could be a little a substitute here. Now, if we head into High Elves, right? Let's just head into Arbiter. So Arbiter has a placing the increased attack, but a turn meter fill by 30%, right? Very impactful, of course. This is what we all want Arbiter for. But if you're early game to mid game and you're trying to progress in Arena, placing half of that turn meter fill is not bad with the increased attack buff. So very, very decent here for an epic with that speed aura of 15% in all battles and removes decreased attack debuffs from all allies at the start of this champion's turn. Is he going to be end game? No. Is he going to be a great progression early game champion? I think so. If you pull him very early game for Arena, this is a very strong A3, I think. And you might not even need to take him to 6 stars. Get him at the right speeds, put him as the fastest in your squad. Make sure he's going first at rank 50, just to get this out, and then control it with the rest of your champions. But alright guys, that is going to be all for the video. That was all of the champions on the list. If I was to say what is my favorite one from the bunch, it would be the epic in Suiren. I love her mask, I love the aesthetics, and I think she's like a Feign 2.0. Very, very strong for an epic champion. Applying drop defense, weaken, and poisons on an A1 skill set. I guarantee you're going to see a lot of this chick in loads of unkillable teams out there, because she covers all of the bases that we want in a clan boss team. But yeah guys, let me know your favorite champions in the comment section below, and be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you did enjoy the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.